Hi, I'm Sue Carney of Magnolias West. Welcome to the new moon call for the month of March. We're coming up on the new moon in Pisces, which is tomorrow, and it is a solar eclipse. And spring is coming here in the Northern Hemisphere. And today my guest is Barbara Hanneloré, who is a friend of mine who I met on Facebook, who is very much mindful of the moon and her cycles and how that manifests or will manifest in women's lives. So as always, I want to get us started with a meditation, and then I will pull up the Facebook group to see if there are any questions for today's call. And if there aren't any, then Barbara and I will just start a conversation. And you are welcome to ask questions if you're on the call live, or if you're listening to the recording, to ask questions in the comments. And Barbara or I will, or both of us, will respond at some point. All right, so please put down whatever's in your hands and sit in a way that your chest can be open so that you can breathe fully. Let your feet be flat on the floor, or as you can. I like to be able to feel my feet, the fullness of my feet on the floor, so I can feel my roots going down into Mother Earth. And I also like to, in addition to the benefit for the breath of sitting erect and open, there's also the benefit of feeling suspended from above. So there's like this gossamer silken cord suspending you from the heavens and going through your body, through your feet, and into the earth. So you're connected above and below. And our roots can all be intertwining. Let your breathing slow. Follow the breath. Follow the inhale, the full inhale. And at the top of the inhale, let it go. Take a full exhale. And if you find yourself getting distracted, that's perfectly fine. That's what happens. Just bring it back to the breath. Inhale, and at the top of the inhale, let the exhale take over. For today, I want to work with, this is what I need. I want to work with getting out of your head and getting more connected to your body and your instincts. My Tai Chi teacher called this sinking the E, which he wrote as the letter I, sinking the E, which is the thoughts, the stresses, the fears, the thoughts, all those thoughts that swirl around in our heads. So what I invite you to do now is to just be aware of the thoughts in your head and just let them melt down in a downward direction. So as you do this, they'll become less concrete, become more like just a liquid melting down from your head, down through your neck, down into your chest, down to your heart. Your heart blesses your thoughts with love because your heart knows that your thoughts are just your thoughts and that you are bigger and more than that. We don't stop here. Let that molten soup of your thoughts flow down even further to your dantian, which is the center of movement in your body, 4 fingers below your navel and about 1/3 of the way in. Let your thoughts melt into the dantian area, and now you're uniting your center of movement, your response ability, your nimbleness, your openness, your ability to do one thing at a time and connect to one thing at a time and make one decision at a time. Let that all be nurtured and nourished in the dantian area. And let it just that now diffuse, non-specific let that just spread out through your body. Keep breathing with intention. And let the peace, P-E-A-C-E, that comes from emptying your mind of your worries and your thoughts, take over. And we'll take 3 more conscious breaths together. And 1 more in. And out. And slowly return to your conscious way of thinking and come back to the conversation. All right, Barbara, I'm going to pull up the Facebook group to see if there are any questions for us today. And why don't you introduce yourself and get us started?
Mm-hmm. Hi. Well, I want to say that was a wonderful meditation. I loved that, letting our thoughts melt. I've never quite done it that way before. That was really effective. Just
yeah,
to the body. And yeah, my work, as Sue said, I really go back to that the value of the moon cycle, and I relate it to women's cycles and how our own rhythms. They are a rhythm of nature, and they reflect the rhythm of the moon. They reflect the seasons and that pace through the seasons that we go through each year. Our own internal menstrual cycles reflect those things, and our own cycles are a cycle of nature. So I've written a book. I've got it here. I've written a book called The Moon and You, A Woman's Guide to an Easier Monthly Cycle. And kind of the whole thing, I put it in chapter 1 here, is this model. I call it the cycle of balance. And it just shows there's the moon's rhythm, and then you can put any other cycle over that model and see the similarities. So in the book, I superimpose the seasons over this. And so summer would be at the top, like the full moon. And then we start superimposing our menstrual cycles so that menstruation's at the bottom. It's like our own personal dark moon or winter, and then ovulation's at the top, like our own personal full moon or summer, and then we kind of take it from there, and we start applying sort of this seasonal perspective to our month, and it starts to change everything. So I've developed women's personal calendars, and I'm just now finishing my Mother's Moon Kit, which is going to be an online resource for women as they're preparing for their daughters coming of age. And I give book clubs, a 5-week on the phone book club to go through the book together as a group, chapter by chapter. And then I do classes where we just really dive deeper into the material and start using our calendars and developing our rhythm. It's largely a rhythm of self-care, really understanding that when we pull back, how that benefits us all month long. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
So you lay the seasons over it, you lay the women's cycles over it, and then so how do I use that on a practical level for decision making, and for when do I put myself out there, and when do I I mean, for me, I keep it really simple, and I have a couple of things I pay attention to. Like, I like to initiate things on the full moon, and I like to be a little bit more quiet when the moon is dark.
Yeah.
I also pay attention to planets in retrograde, especially Mercury, as a woman who's so involved in technology and communication as I am. That's something I'm mindful of. I don't let it stop me, though. I'm not one of those, oh, Mercury's in retrograde, I won't buy anything or get new technology or sign a contract.
Yeah. But
I will take more time with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, tell us an example or two of how.
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's kind of the key to the whole thing. And it's when you can see the moon's rhythm as your model, then you can understand how to progress through your month. And I like to think of it in simple terms as the first 2 weeks of your month after menstruation. We're going clockwise around this circle. So up to the left, after menstruation, is your personal springtime with kind of new energy and new ideas and beginning projects. That's when I think of it as like in your personal springtime. And then that energy builds up until your personal summer. And estrogen, when you're ovulating, estrogen likes to have you at your best socially. So it's at your best kind of outwardly, where you're maybe at your peak mentally to have those snappy conversations and make those decisions and be fully engaged with your community, get a lot done. Then there's the whole entire other half of the month where there's autumn and winter and the light is waning and our own personal energy starts to turn inward. And that whole half of the month premenstrually, I mean, especially as we get closer to our period and then our menstrual time, is about our energy naturally turns back toward ourselves, to catch up with ourselves, to find the meaning in what's been going on all during the crazy month. And it's that time of sifting and sorting and harvest and completion. And I really feel like a lot of the irritability that women get premenstrually is because they're trying to act like nothing's going on, where actually they're really being called to pay attention. The symptoms of PMS can be seen more like signals of imbalance, like something's something needs your attention, something's out of balance here. And it can so often be in our culture that's driven at this mad pace. It can so often be that you want to step back from your usual pace. You need time alone, which we may not even recognize that as a need, but it's a really profound need for a lot of women. We need time alone, or we need to do things that are fulfilling to us, and we've gotten away from that. So it's that time of the month where we can kind of step back, and if we really indulge in some self-care, we feel so refreshed when we go out into our personal springtime again after menstruation. I've had clients say, well, my period ended and I still feel exhausted. And I was asking them, well, did you step back during your menstrual time? Did you take some time for yourself? And they realized, well, no, not so much. And so that's kind of a lesson, like try that differently next month. And even little steps can help a lot, but just be conscious of it, see what you can do. And of course,
welcome.
And of course,
I'm so sorry.
I'll keep talking. We'll give you a minute.
I didn't realize you were going to see me at the same time.
Welcome, Tiffany. Welcome to the call. You can catch up on the part you missed later with the recording.
Wonderful.
Yes. Okay. So sorry, Barbara. I couldn't help but say hi to Tiffany. So I'm sorry to distract you. Barbara was talking. She's in the middle of a talk about moon cycles and women.
Yeah. Well,
marvelous. It's such a privilege to be able to join. So thank you.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you're here. Hi. Well, I was just saying that women's cycles actually model the moon's rhythm. When we look to the moon's rhythm as a model for our own cycles, it's such a revelation. We can start to see how to plan ahead. And one of the things is when you're in your personal, after your menstrual period, and when you're in your kind of personal springtime with new energy and you're charging ahead, you want to plan ahead and realize 2 or 2 or 3 weeks from now, you're not going to be feeling like you are right now.
Right.
Or at least the women who do have these changes are the ones that this is going to appeal to the most. It's like, okay, well, if you know you're not going to be feeling the way you are right now in 2 or 3 weeks, then plan ahead for that. And I have these personal calendars where you can just simply make a mark through the calendar when you anticipate your next premenstrual and menstrual time is going to be. And then you don't put anything optional on those days so that you're giving yourself that gift of free time. That starts to make a huge difference.
I love that. A couple of things have occurred to me as possible directions we can take the next part of the conversation. One is how this works for women who don't have a cycle, who never had one or don't have one anymore. And also, you said that wonderful thing, or Barbara was saying how she lays the seasons over the moon cycle, Tiffany. And I'm wondering if you've also ever thought about the child, maiden, mother, crone cosmology or way of looking at it as well. But let's talk about the women who don't bleed and how your approach works for them.
I want to mention, first of all, that women who are approaching menopause, the perimenopause, they may think, oh, it'll be over soon. I can't wait to be rid of it. I had a friend who was in that position, and she wasn't sure my book club, I have a 5-week book club, Tiffany, and my book club, it was intriguing to her, but she's like, I'm not going to get many more periods anyway. But she came, and in that 1 month, it transformed her relationship to her period, and she was so grateful. And that's how a lot of women feel when they're able to have this newfound understanding and respect for their body while they are still bleeding. So that's really valuable. And then once a woman is beyond menopause, not bleeding for whatever reason, then we just can follow the moon rhythm. And I think that's what most women follow if they're not having that hormonal rhythm starts here that has the menstrual cycle active. So then to follow the moon's rhythm, as you so well know, Sue, is where we step back as the moon wanes, and we really step back as the moon darkens, which, by the way, today is dark moon. And I really treasure that moment of dark moon because we tend to think ahead for new moon, which starts tomorrow. The light starts to grow again, and we're at new moon, and it's time to make our wishes. But dark moon is right before that, when the light has fully waned, and there's that night when there's no moon. It just feels so resonant to me, and it's really a time of release or pause, and where we can just go so deep. Things come up. If we're paying attention, things come up, and instead of just kind of shoving them away, we can work with those feelings a little bit and make some shifts so that we can move into the new cycle with a different energy, right?
I have more I want to say about that, but Tiffany, why don't you let us know a little bit about who you are and if you have anything you'd like to share today or ask?
Certainly. I am 48 years old, and I'm actually from Los Angeles. So I know this is going to be watched by many women around the world. But it's interesting for me because I listen to what you say, and I actually am in a time period right now where, being 48, I'm in a period of trying to have a child. And yes. And it's very exciting. Sometimes a little, the fear bubbles up because I think to myself, age, and then I have to remember to myself, no, it's not really about age because my body has its own rhythm. And I've been very fortunate that actually my whole life, my cycles have been on track where they need to be. I'm not a person who has experienced cramps and depression and a lot of the things that some women feel challenged by. But at the same time, I'm very conscious of, I really do believe there is this pattern throughout a woman's cycle that we do go through phases. And I can say, I didn't realize consciously that today was the dark moon, but as I was walking and getting my cheeseburger, I realized, gosh, I kind of feel this sense of emptiness today. And I don't understand why I'm feeling that, because tomorrow I have something really wonderful to look forward to. And I think it might actually connect to that, is just like my body subconsciously knows it's shutting off something and preparing for the newness. Now, ironically, I know I actually start ovulating in 2 days. So I have 2 different patterns happening at the same time with my body. And then I listen to what you're saying, and I actually think about my sisters who are older than me, and they're very much, one sister has already gone through menopause, the other one is premenopausal, and they couldn't wait until it was over and done with and just get on with their lives. And it's so fascinating to me that here we are, 3 sisters with 5 years apart from all of us, and yet we're in very, very different periods of our life, and they're all ruled by these cycles.
That's something.
Yeah, yeah. So are you in the middle of the 3?
No, I'm the youngest.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That is right now. So you have probably one in menopause and one who's done. So you are holding down those 3 positions, the 3 of you. Yeah. So Barbara's thing about your own personal moon cycle. So your ovulation point is in a couple of days. So that's your new moon.
Yes.
It's her full moon. It's her full moon. Your ovulation. Yes, of course. It's your full moon. So yeah. And, so you have both those cycles going on at once.
I consider it just to be more opportunities for self-care. If they don't line up, if you don't happen to be menstruating on the dark of the moon, then you're menstruating around the full moon, then you've just got more opportunities for self-care and just to observe. It's just, as you said, Tiffany, it's just all about observation. And I have often found, and this is 2 or 3 days before dark moon, like a couple of days before dark moon, I'll just feel so discouraged. And then I'll think, I wonder if it's almost dark moon, and I'll remember it is. And there's just that draggy, depressed feeling. And it's so reassuring to know that it's part of a cycle and that you can just let it be, sink into it if you want, it'll pass.
So maybe this is so interesting because I've been in a really stressful place the last 2 weeks of finding out I have to find a new place to live and finding it to be challenging and difficult and checking out my legal rights and dealing with hostility from the homeowner I rent from and all of that. And it has been so difficult. So when you said that just now, Barbara, it gave me hope that in a couple of days, maybe I'll be able to dance through this with a little more lightness of step than I've been trudging.
I really think so. And something's going to shift. And especially because we're still in winter. I just love, as I've said to you, Sue, before recently, is I have reminded myself many times that one of the qualities of darkness is that you can't see. I mean, how simple is that? So we don't need to expect ourselves to be able to see clearly when it's one of these dark phases. And that, too, is a huge relief.
There's something you said about the dark moon before the new moon tomorrow. I'm sorry, Tiffany, but I'll shut up in a minute. But for me, I'm Jewish, and there is a thing in Jewish lore, Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month. And Rosh Chodesh is when you can see the first sliver of the moon in the sky. It's usually 2 to 3 days after the moon turns. And for me, that's always the time where it feels like the energy just starts to get bigger and move in a freer way. So I am looking forward to this next Rosh Chodesh big time because I've got to manifest a new place to live in the month of March when the equinox is coming. And really, honestly, I'd love to know by the full moon, 2 weeks from tomorrow, where I will be, because this has been so incredibly stressful, as I'm sure you know.
Time limit, and you're trying to trust and let it take its course, and yet you have a time limit. And
be mindful of my attitude, because I tend to get really fearful, and then the thoughts that come with the fear are not my allies. They're not my allies for finding the next right place. I have to be really mindful. So what else is up in your heart, Tiffany?
No, I was just thinking, as Barbara was explaining about it being this darker period, and even reflecting on what you just said, I think that this period, it is a matter of like, you really have to surrender and just trust that it's like this last little wave that you ride before everything just starts to open up into newness then, I would suppose. Or at least that's what I feel in my heart.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to end in 5 minutes.
I can't believe it. We just
No, they go so fast. And I could go longer, but I will just confess that this Zoom call will end itself at a certain point because I'm at the lower tier of the Zoom membership, and they don't allow me to talk to more than one person. Unlimited time, not yet. I will be upgrading it as soon as I have enough founding members for this call. I will be upgrading my Zoom membership. So tell your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right now it's $18 a month. I've cut the price in half to be a member and to come on the calls and then to be in the secret Facebook group and continue the conversation. So please, if you are moved to join Tiffany and become one of the founding members, I'd be delighted, and please tell your friends.
Thank you.
Did you find out about it in the Wise Women Circle?
I received an email this morning, actually.
Oh, great. Good. Yeah. Terrific. Well, welcome here. And the Wise Women Circle is also a Facebook group that I invite you to join.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. I will just join it so you can find more information there. Okay. Will you look for it? Okay, great. Good. All right. So do you want to say any closing words, Barbara?
Well, let's see. I will invite you to what I've got coming up next. Now, I have my 5-week book club for my book, and it's easy. It's $37 for the entire 5 weeks, including the book. So when you enroll, then as long as you live within the continental United States, I mail you your book. You also get a PDF, and then we go through the book for 5 weeks, chapter by chapter. And that's a great way to optimize your menstrual cycle, which of course supports fertility. So that's one of the many ways that I think it's really useful for women. And so my website is Women's Way Moon Cycles, plural, Women's Way Moon Cycles. That's also the name of my Facebook page. So I invite everybody to come visit.
And magnoliaswest.com is my website. So we can get to know each other in a deeper way.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the call today, and I will put the recording up in the Moon Circles Facebook group. I'm getting confused with circles and cycles.
Wow.
By tomorrow, I will do that. Any questions or parting thoughts?
Yeah, this is so special to be able to meet live like this. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for setting aside the time, and thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much to both of you.
Okay, and good luck with your journey, your exciting journey. Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.